My name's Nathan, and this is my wife Tia, and I've been worship leader at Cornerstone for 7 years. Our story with Carbondale started in the middle of last summer. We were gearing up for the Unbelievable series at Cornerstone, where we're going to talk about matters of faith and specifically apologetics. And we did an interview on SIU campus. Dustin and Sarah went over there and interviewed some SIU students, asking them what they thought about faith and religion and whether the Bible was true, and is God real, and if so, is he good or bad? And as they asked those questions, they came back and there were so many answers that did not come from a biblical worldview that I thought that they must have cut out all the Christian answers that they got. So I went and asked Dustin and Sarah, like, hey, did you guys, just show the really bad answers, the ones that reflect like no faith in God? And they said, no, that's the only answers we got. God used that to lay some weight on my heart and on the heart of our staff, that we had to be a part of helping out in Carbondale, that we had to be a part of sharing the gospel because people need Jesus. About that time, Michael asked me, like, hey, what would it take for us to do a Cornerstone Light, to do a very small service in Carbondale, whether that's in a little room off of the library at SIU, or meeting in a movie theater or something like that, show a video, have a couple guys with an acoustic guitar and a cajon, because we've got to do something. A couple weeks later, actually September 1st, we had supper with Lucas and Jamie Pulley, some really good friends of ours who lived and did ministry in Carbondale. Lucas has preached a couple times at Cornerstone. As we drove around, they started describing to us the brokenness in Carbondale, the racial tension and socioeconomic divides, just financial insecurity, instability, uncertainty. And as we heard them describe that brokenness, we also heard that they have a hope for the gospel to transform that city and to transform their neighborhood. And so we drove home that night just beaming, talking about how inspiring it was to see that they loved their city like that they have a vision for the gospel transforming lives, transforming an entire community in Carbondale. And that was really inspiring for us.
The next morning, we're sitting on the couch just having kind of our quiet time, and Nathan looked at me and he said, this is kind of out of nowhere, but like, what if we're supposed to move to Carbondale? Like, what if it's not just that Cornerstone goes to Carbondale, but like we specifically head that up? And I said, I was actually just thinking the same thing.
So that afternoon, I gave Michael a call and said, hey, this is coming out of nowhere. This isn't something you've asked of me, but what if Tia and I are supposed to move our family to Carbondale and be a part of starting the Carbondale Campus? And so he was a little bit caught off guard. He said, let me think about it, let me pray about it. I got a text a couple hours later where he said, I'm liking the idea more and more as I think about it. I got a text that evening where he had talked with Carol Ann, and he said, hey, as we're talking about it and praying about it, like, this makes a lot of sense. I think this may be right. I think this may be what God's calling you guys to do.
We just kind of went into a season of just like discerning whether this was God's will, and spent time like seeking godly counsel and just praying and saying, like, God, is this what you want? And one of those confirmations for us was just that this was not something that we would have wanted on our own, that we love exactly where we're at here in Marion. We love our house, we love our community, the group of just friends that God's placed around us, the relationships we built are just amazing, and our best friends are our kids' best friends, and that's not something that on our own we would just say, like, let's just go live somewhere else, because that's not something we were looking for. Like, we loved exactly where we're at. But despite that, being sad about like not being 3 minutes from our closest friends, and that we're still excited, and that was confirmation for us. Like, we're excited to see what God does in Carbondale.
Mm-hmm. Through this season of God confirming, it's not been only confirmations for us, but it's been exciting to see the confirmations he's provided for Cornerstone as a whole, ways that he's provided a facility like in just the nick of time, whenever we were about to say, like, if we don't get something soon, August 27th is not going to be a reality. We're going to have to wait. In just that right period of time, God provided an amazing connection with the high school. It's going to be a phenomenal place for us to meet and worship Jesus together and have a presence in Carbondale. We're firmly convinced that God's called Cornerstone to plant a church in Carbondale. We're convinced that he's called us to pick up our family and move there. So I ask, what's He calling you to do?